In three, two, one. All right, shut up. One thing that people don't know about me that I'd like to tell you is that in high school, I actually went through a big phase. It wasn't just me and like four other guys after school, would go to a swing set and would swing recreationally and had the greatest time. We were like
Mm.
16 and it was so much fun. People forget about swing sets and how swinging feels. We would do like flips off of it and like go super high and like jump and stuff. Dude, swinging is so underrated in today's day and age. I don't remember the last time I did it, and I even think that. So if I'm thinking that, y'all aren't, and you guys need to get on it. Get on a swing set. And what I mean by that, of course, is it's time again for the Disney Pod Classics. I'm Harrison, and with me as always, the beautiful, the esteemed, the knowledgeable Jay. Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, great intro. I really do enjoy swings as well, and it's the closest that we can feel to pixie dust.
It is kind of like pixie dust. And I love that you said that, Jay, because it kind of previews the movie we're going to be getting into. Today, if you can't tell by my Lost Boy uniform, I brought this here specifically because thanks, man. Because we are going to be talking about 1953's Peter Pan. P squared, however you want to put it, the man or the woman, if it's a play, in green,
Hmm.
flying around, Peter Pan, Disney classic. What we do here at the Disney Pod Classics is incredibly important. Jay and I grew up watching these movies, as many of you did, I'm sure. And as many of you are right now, we are also getting old and we're, close to 30. We've been friends, through college. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time. And we're thinking, you know what? It's time to go through this formally and watch these movies one by one, see where we came from, check the VHSs. I've been there and I want to go back to Neverland, let's say. So that's what we're doing. We're going through each one of these, looking what it looks like with our aged eyes and seeing what we see that we didn't see before. So with that, Jay, I know you've seen Peter Pan since we're here talking about it, but I know you watched it as a child. I'd like you to tell me what it was like then.
I really enjoyed Peter Pan as a child. It was probably for most of my life in the top 10 for me.
Mm,
And I think as a kid, it's really hard not to enjoy this movie. And kind of like your swing set piece, it's hard not to get
RGP.
excited about the idea of flying.
Oh
And
yeah.
that can really just shield a kid from any flaws that a movie might have. And
I
I
totally know
just
what you mean.
just flying in general is so great. So as a
You act
kid,
like you've
I
done
really
it
enjoyed it.
before.
Oh
You guys
yeah.
got to try it. It is
Oh, it's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. Well, you were going to swing sets, dog. You should see my high school.
I couldn't even
Dope
see
as
you were so
hell.
high up there. How good. Yeah, no, I totally agree. For me, it was the same thing. I don't know if I'd call it top 10 just because I take that pretty seriously these days. But I would reckon if you asked me back then, I would say it was. It was always in rotation. It was always a good one. I actually really loved Peter. I thought he was the man. He could fly. He, totally bamboozled Captain Hook with his small little dagger against a long sword. And I thought about that, any kind of mismatch in weaponry I ever saw again for the rest of my life. So, yeah, I loved this movie. Here's the real question, Jay. I'm going to ask you directly. Did you like this one now?
Uh, no. I
No.
have increasingly disliked this movie each time I've watched it from 18 on. Ironically, when I became an adult, and I specifically remember the time watching it where I crossed that threshold and I see it much more critically each time I watch it. And in my opinion, I think it's very valid. It's still a
Of course
fun
you do.
movie though. I will say that like the parts that frustrate me, we will obviously talk about, but there was just potential left on the table, but I still like the final product. It's just could have been so much better, and
I would
there's a
almost
lot of
make
flaws.
I would almost make the claim that the potential left on the table is most of what's good about this movie. I think the world that we're dropped in here and the rules of engagement, I think those are the things that really get me going when I watch old Peter Pan.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot to that, and I'll just start getting into facts.
What do you know about this movie, Jay? Hit us.
Do you know much about the original story?
I would not say I know a lot about the original story. I know it's gone in
Okay.
a lot of directions. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
I've done a lot of reading about it,
Who,
and
you, dude? You did a lot
yeah,
of reading about it?
I know.
Weird. That's so
Rabbit
weird.
holes, dude.
So Peter, in the original story, Peter runs away from home. He had found Neverland, and after some time, returns to coming home, and his mother, he sees her through the window and is taking care of another kid, and
Oh,
he feels like
a band?
my parents don't want me anymore, and that's why he returns to Neverland and stays there.
No way. Now that's
Okay,
interesting.
crazy fact, right?
Is that better?
Okay, well, okay, yeah, we're just gonna have to get into this. So I really think the first 2 minutes should have been summarizing this, just like what they did with Cinderella,
Mm-hmm.
where they have a narrator that happened to be Cruella DeVille's voice, which was awesome,
Shout out.
and walk them through who Peter Pan is, where he comes from, and then have a little bit at the end, and I think it would have made this movie so
Oh.
much more strong. But after I read that, there was many emotions that came. Like, one, I think I do like the character a little bit more because that's his original story. And
Interesting.
two, I'm going to take a gamble here.
Whoa.
You've seen Catch Me If You Can, right?
Absolutely. Great movie. Not a sponsor, but great
Okay,
movie.
okay. Yeah. There's a scene in Catch Me If You Can when Leonardo DiCaprio, who plays
Easy for
Frank
you to say.
Abagnale, real guy, looks through the window and sees his mom taking care of another kid with another
Yeah.
husband, right?
Another man,
and that's like
right.
his breaking point, and he turns himself in, and he's done with this. And there's a lot of similarities between Catch Me If You Can and Peter Pan.
I would almost say that when you're talking about this, it feels like there's a lot of similarities between young Leo and Peter Pan. I could see if that was a real movie done, wouldn't you get young Leo to play him?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
definitely.
gosh.
You could get young Leo to play
That's
like
so true. Young Leo.
characters.
Young Leo.
Yeah, exactly.
Big fan of the show. Shout out to Leonardo DiCaprio. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and your mom. They're the only two
And my
listeners.
mom. Yeah, it's Leo and my mother, and we
Yeah.
appreciate you guys. This is why we do it.
So there's that scene. Frank runs away from home in that movie and completely leaves, and then he refuses to grow up and just evades responsibility for the early years of his life. And I started thinking about this, not to mention he fakes being a pilot and literally flies around the country.
No, Jay,
But
I'm
there
just going to take
are
a gamble here. Should we just
weird
shift gears and do
similarities
Catch Me If You Can
and-
instead of Peter Pan?
Yeah, exactly. We're
Well,
actually doing Catch Me If You Can.
Nice one.
But yeah, nice. I love it. God, I didn't even
Okay,
come up with that part. But anyway, yeah, I think there were aspects of Catch Me If You Can where I was like, damn, they should have done a little bit more with this story, and I think it would have felt very similar of a journey.
I want to bring it back to, it was made as a play, correct? By
Yeah.
J.M. Barrie. Am I wrong about that?
Yep.
The thing that I saw that just I loved, and there is a little moment in the beginning credits where it says, like, thanks to the Children's Hospital.
Yeah,
Barrie actually gave this or sold it or something,
I sold it.
exclusive rights to a children's hospital, and Disney had to go buy it from them, and they thank the children's hospital. But I was just like, dude, I'm guessing that Disney got the better end of the deal on that one, because I don't think the hospital had any rights for like income or toys or anything like that. I don't know what their arrangement is. I've heard it's kind of secret, and they do donations. Disney's doing its best to, make it right, but my God, like, that children's hospital had gold in its hands, and then just like, yeah, maybe it wouldn't have been if they hadn't given away. But I think that's so interesting that it could have been lost forever in a children's hospital.
Yeah.
It would have been worth it. Shout out to those kids.
No, definitely. It's similar with, we talked about this with Bambi, and that was a lot more dramatic of how little it was sold for.
Oh, yeah,
But
like $1,000
It
or
just,
whatever.
without Disney putting its touch on it, I don't
It's
know
fairy
how,
dust.
yeah, how big it gets.
That's
It's
so
hard to
true.
tell.
It was
Yeah.
obviously reproduced a bunch, but my goodness. Speaking
Yeah.
of reproduced, I did see, or at least I was in my research, I saw that this was released like 6 different times or something like that.
Yeah.
You know about that? Like,
Yes.
and I was just thinking the concept of re-releasing a movie in theaters, if you apply that to today, like, can you imagine if Avatar just came out in theaters next year, how the response would be for people?
I still think people would go watch it.
That's the thing. I'm wondering, like, are people going to rock up at the theater? Like,
Right now, yeah, people just don't actually make the same movie, but they
pretty much
essentially do with sequels,
It was
right?
like a re-release of Pocahontas.
I would actually,
anyways.
yeah, exactly. I'd rather just watch A New Hope in theaters instead of
I was
watching
just thinking, didn't they re-release? I mean, you go like here in Oregon, we've got OMSI, and it's got like the Omni Max. I remember one year, like not that long ago, there was like, hey, remember the first Harry Potter? We're going to be playing it this Christmas. And everyone went and saw it. I think I might have even gone and saw it. I've seen that movie before. Re-releasing is something that we don't tap into maybe even enough. But it's a weird concept. But yeah, this movie did well, I think. Tell me what you know about it.
Yeah, well, it made $40 million, which was a modest success at that point. But Walt was dissatisfied with the final product, drum roll, because Peter Pan is cold and unlikable.
What?
Yeah.
News to me.
Exactly. But the J.M. Barrie, who you mentioned, praised the success as he insisted that Pan was originally written to be a heartless sociopath.
See, that's so weird. If you think about Pinocchio, which I remember, it was a while ago, a couple movies ago, but Pinocchio's origin story, he was an asshole the whole time. And they totally mixed that up, and this time I wonder if they tried to, and just Pan is so Pan that you can't change it.
Yeah, I know.
You know? Can't ban Pan, dude.
No, you can't. And then, did you watch this movie on Disney Plus?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we both took the same note.
I have it literally waiting to read because I think it's the most interesting thing.
Okay, perfect. You can read it, and I'll break it into it. So
you sing while I read it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so it at the beginning of when you start Peter Pan on Disney Plus, for the first 12 seconds specifically, they have a text that essentially says, "This hasn't aged well. We have negative depictions and mistreatment of peoples and cultures." You'll read it in a second, but there's a website called Stories Matter. Did you go to the website?
I did not go to the website.
Okay,
no.
The website is actually fascinating. I spent a lot of time on it. So Disney has 3 animated movies that has this text. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to have you guess it in a moment.
Oh my God.
But on this website, they come out and they have pictures of these racist scenes in Disney history and say why it's racist. And they essentially are explaining, like, this wasn't right then, it's not right now, but we're going to, like, further educate.
Really getting out in front of it.
Exactly, yeah. And it's the first time I've ever seen Disney take an approach like this.
We've talked about this in college and stuff. Like,
yes.
Peter Pan, not the one that's off the shelves right now.
Exactly, and that was my exact same thought. I was like, oh my God.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there's a scene, and we will talk about it, but it's a depiction of Native Americans, and it is essentially Nazi propaganda-esque of depicting this group of people. And
Correct.
So it has aged terribly, and it probably didn't take long for it to feel that way. No. I bet you there was even people who are like, what the hell, when it came out. But we've always been like, dude, we know that they banned Song of the South because of the representation of slavery. How is this still okay? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this always should have been circled much more than it ever was.
But
and
now
I am happy to see that they've, like, acknowledged it and that they're looking to move past it and learn from it. Do you have the exact text to read?
I have the exact text.
Okay,
I'll put it up. I'll put it up in post. But it says, this program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes... Shoot, I just clicked out of it because I'm the man. Where's your singing? These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together.
And then Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational things that reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe. To learn more about how these stories have impacted society,
visit disney.com/stories matter, and then it says your video will start in 4 because that's when I screenshotted it.
And I'm the 1% who actually went to that website to learn more.
Yeah, I love that about you.
And so there's 2 other animated movies.
I was thinking about it so
what
hard.
Are they?
I forgot.
I would have got one, but I don't think I would have got the other.
So Song of the South obviously isn't one that they've.
It's not an option because they've just completely erased
They're just
that.
like, what movie are you talking
yeah,
about?
exactly. That
Oh,
one they're not. They're
No,
not bringing up.
I don't see that one anywhere in our records. It's so strange.
Song of the South. Song of the South.
Could it be like Aristocats?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes, they have a screenshot of that like terrible cat playing like the Chinese representation. They have that screenshot, and that's why I knew like Disney's actually taking this seriously.
They're actually watching.
They are getting all the
saw
cobwebs out.
Some of our episodes highlighting it or something.
Yeah, maybe. And then the other one, this one I would not have got.
Is it with French people?
No.
Damn it. I have no idea.
It's one we've already done. Dumbo and the Crows.
Oh,
like one of the crows is named Jim Crow, and
I forget about that because they're like the best characters in that movie. But I totally see what you're saying. That's so interesting. So yeah, if you want to learn more, go to that website. Shout out Disney Plus. They've done a good job covering up the old tracks like Pongo in the snow. So
nice.
The last thing
thanks, man.
The last thing I'll say about this movie before we move into the chapters is the fact that they had to add, those things where it's like you buy, a glass and it's like, don't smash this up and eat it. And you're like, why would they need to tell me that? Of course I'm not going to. But it's because someone smashed it up and ate it and was like, you didn't say I couldn't, They had to add fairy dust into this movie for health and safety reasons. And I think it could be because of someone trying to fly, because they're an idiot kid and they tried to fly like Peter Pan, but just think of a beautiful thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't add that in the lyric. I think this is really important, and one of the reasons why I think it's surprised us why this movie hasn't been kind of more critically looked at in the past. Mm-hmm. This movie came out in 1953. Disneyland was opened in 1955. So Walt frickin' Disney, out of all of the toolbox that he had of toys to choose, of course Peter Pan was the most recent one. Mm-hmm. So he had Tinkerbell featured in a lot of those like black and white intro TV series, letting the audience know about what Disneyland was going to be like.
Interesting.
And they have a Peter Pan ride. Bottom line, I think the timing of when this movie was released and being attached to Disneyland, I think is a huge piece as to why it is so embedded and ingrained in like what Disney is.
Yeah, it's in the logo. Tinkerbell does the flyover and
exactly. It's still Tinkerbell's still like a major piece of Disneyland, and of course Disney in general.
Yeah.
But I think if this movie came out not right before Disneyland was opening,
might not have.
I really don't think this movie would have had as famous characters.
I think you're so on that. And we'll talk about that when we get to Tinkerbell, but it is interesting what's persisted and how heavily it's been shoved down our throats since this movie came out. And I think, and I don't want to misquote her, but I'm pretty sure Hope said that her favorite ride at Disneyland was the Peter Pan one. Does that sound like it could stack up at all?
I've been on it. There's a lot of people that it's like one of their favorite ones.
Okay.
It's I don't know. There's a lot that are similar to it. The Pinocchio ride is similar. The Snow White one. It's basically like you're on just a quick track. There's different scenes from the movie.
Yeah, I've done stuff like that.
That's it. But like,
I don't know that that's 100% right. But since she's not Leonardo DiCaprio or my mother, she'll never hear this. So she
correct. Yeah.
So
even Wind in the Willows. Friggin' Mr. Toad has its own ride, and that was released a couple years before this. Like the movies that were released right before Disneyland opened have way more staying power than probably Justified.
That's true. It's because it was the foundation it was all built on.
Exactly. But Cinderella, of course, it was rightfully so, and she has the castle.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't all balance out exactly.
It's not the same rule across the board, but it is an interesting point to bring up. Jay, I'm going to let you get into chapter 1, but before I do, quick word to our sponsor. I hope you could say a few nice things about it, and I'll start. 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Just the concept of it. it's efficient. You've never had so much space in your shower before. You normally have to buy one of these things and you have to buy another one if you want to get, beautiful hair, Exhibit A. And, someone went out there and created a product that can do both. So, thank you so much for sponsoring the episode. Jay, you have anything nice to say about 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner?
Yeah, just a quick question.
Don't eat it. You should not eat it.
Is this 2-in-1 body wash or conditioner?
Well, right now it's just conditioner and shampoo, but
Okay,
we do
but we're
know
hoping to
about
get the other
3-in-1.
sponsor.
I mean, we don't want to say that out loud.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't personally condition that much, so I guess I need the 2-in-1 in order to
Work it
make
into
that happen. But I go through the bottle very slowly. I'll put it that way. So they can stop sending me the free product because I'm
Send it right this way. I've got
exactly. Send it to Harrison.
Still great stuff. Thank you so much for your support. So Jay, why don't you work us into chapter 1? We'll go into Fly Off to Neverland with you.
All right. Sounds good. So we meet the Darling family, and Mr. and Mrs. Darling, they head off to dinner, and yours truly, Peter Pan, flies through, and they meet the kids. Wendy particularly is really interested in Peter Pan, and then they fly to Neverland, and as they're flying there, you get introduced to Captain Hook and the pirates, and they start shooting at the kids, and it's a nice little, you're not in Kansas anymore.
No, you're not.
So my first question for you would be, an important rule in order to fly is it's not just the pixie dust, but you have to have a happy thought in order to take liftoff.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your happy thought?
Wow, that is a great one, isn't it? I think I discovered recently of some reflection. I think the best moment of my life was the 2016 Rio Olympic opening ceremony. And I think for the rest of my life, if I think of that, I will be able to fly in general. I remember in the moment when it was happening, the Olympics were my dream. I was so excited to be there. When it happened, I said out loud, this is the best moment of my life. I am peaking. It is all downhill from here. So that is really like looking back up at the top.
And it hasn't come true, Harrison.
Absolutely. There's no going up from that. Thank you. And thank you again to 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Bye.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Wow, that was so specific. Mine is very general. It's just spending
the time we went to dinner, Jay.
No, yeah, it's not that. It's not when we went to Red Robin. I really think it's just hanging out with family and friends, and just whether it's like a wedding or probably a wedding actually. And I don't even care what cousin or what friend it is.
Just
maybe this is the COVID talking, but just having people around
more than one person
and dancing sounds like the best time. And I would definitely be taking liftoff with Peter.
Yeah, I can say Jay on the dance floor is very similar to Peter Pan flying through the air.
Wow.
I've seen it a million times.
Take it.
Yeah, you'll have
Making the most with the small sword.
Not having to compensate too much. And just to circle back, because I'm so excited that you brought it up, that Red Robin trip he's talking about, we literally took a picture on our way to see Maleficent and posted that photo as the group photo in our business school class group, I guess, working on a final project without asking or telling anyone. We had like 6 people in there, and I just stuck it up there and just like, yeah, that's what we went and saw Maleficent. To Red Robin. So that's also good.
And that's when we flunked out and decided Disney Podcast was our only chance.
That's it. I imagine, what do you think the kids were thinking of? Like, they're like 6.
Presents on Christmas. Well,
kids do love Christmas.
Wendy thinks of a mermaid lagoon, which I find very ironic.
Yeah, because that goes.
They were just filled. There was so much propaganda in those Peter Pan stories that they were basically bringing up those happy thoughts of like even the boys were talking about like specific things that they're about to do in Neverland.
Yeah,
but it obviously didn't pan out the same way. But they took liftoff originally, but I don't think they'd be able to get an inch off the ground with their experiences.
3 in a row.
So
so I think a lot of this, and I'll bring it back at the end, but a lot of my questions about this movie come down to one thing in particular. What the hell is that olive oil tonic that they take before bedtime? Because everything changes a lot after they take it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. I'm going to say something later. But Nana, which we got to get into Nana a little bit. That dog Well, you have a dog.
Yeah.
Nana can read, first off, because you see her
Yeah, the
reassemble
ABC.
the ABCs, and it
Yeah.
shows not even an organizational skill for a dog, but a cognitive reasoning. Oh, this is the alphabet. This is how this should go. Not just putting blocks up. What the hell? What if dogs were really like this? What if your dog was really like that, capable of doing the things that you watch Nana do in this film? Nana's one of the best characters in the movie.
Oh, I love Nana.
That floppy hand wave that I use in day-to-day life now.
Yeah, this is the first Disney movie that I've watched that really features a dog since I've had a dog. And I will tell you, it is really going to change a lot of the movies that we go through. Like, I feel so much more of a connection to these Disney dogs. And Nana was the first one where it's like, God, Nana's just amazing. Definitely not pouring anything in cups, but the ABC thing, I actually think a dog could do.
I've seen stuff.
I bet you could do some weird YouTube rabbit holes and find stuff that's like similarly pretty talented by these dogs.
The thing that really stood out to me in this chapter, and I want to see how it hits you and if it's something you've thought about, obviously Peter comes in, and the whole reason that they go to Neverland is because of the idea that Wendy will no longer be telling the kids stories after she has to leave the nursery. And then it dawned on me, this whole movie happens because A, Nana stole Peter's shadow, and B, Peter likes to listen to stories. If either of those things weren't true, they literally never would have gone there, and this movie doesn't even exist. The whole concept of Nana stealing a shadow is, I guess, flying's in this movie, so it's not like it's a realistic thing except for that. But my God, that is a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well,
pirate poppycock is what I'd say.
All right.
Yeah, Peter, it never struck me before, and this is one of the reasons why each time I rewatch it, I just feel so much worse about Peter Pan, is he says that he goes to listen to Wendy's stories about Peter Pan.
Yeah.
So then he goes home and retells these stories to the Lost Boys.
I thought about this too.
The ego is insane. I mean, Justin Bieber, wide receiver diva is all of it combined, and Peter Pan is the ultimate egotistical, crazy sociopath I've seen in animated film. Like,
dude, it's weird that he's hearing the stories that he actually lived through and then is going to tell that, like, he's flying all the way there just to hear. He is about that life. He loves him some him, as Tio might say.
Yeah, as Tio would say. Yeah,
exactly.
No, completely. It's ego and idiotic that he wouldn't just tell his stories that he lived. It's just insane. It was like one of the weirder lines. But then it's very clear in chapter 1, bleeping out whatever, Peter Pan is such an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
He is.
Get him, Jay.
One of the first lines he says is, girls talk too much, and just sits on it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, like, Wendy's enough. And Wendy's, like, taken back by
he's not
her
into
idol. It's really like a celebrity meeting of someone you've idolized, and you're like, oh God, you're just an ass. Yeah. You don't give a shit. It's like, I almost wish I didn't meet you. The only difference is,
never meet your
for
heroes.
some reason, Wendy and the kids love Peter Pan all the way through this movie, and even at the end.
Yeah.
Most people would have called this off right away and been like,
I actually just want to read your stories. You're too much.
Yeah, it's so
this
true.
Is not going well.
Last thing before we move on, two things. I watched this with my stepfather Dale, and when they're looking for the buried treasure, which is the cufflinks for Mr. Darling.
Yeah.
And he finds them, and she's like, "Oh, the buried treasure." Dale goes, "Oh shit!" Like it resonated with him that some kid had stolen this before.
That's awesome.
I thought it was great. But then, secondly, what the hell is a shirt front? They draw that map on that thing that's like rigid, but like a whiteboard. What is that? And have you ever seen one in real life?
I have not seen one.
It's like a bib that's like armor.
I almost
armor bib.
When Robert De Niro plays Al Capone, I can't remember the movie, the Untouchables. I think he wears something similar to that, but I think not in that way though. Like the way it's animated, it's like, yeah, what the fuck is this thing? And he really cares about it. He was like really, really upset. It was his last clean one. I mean, Mr. Darling is awesome. by
He
the way.
is awesome. I like him a lot. And the mom, too. Like, the
Yeah.
two older people in this household are great. Did you like the children at all?
No, not
Yeah, I
really.
used to like them, and I didn't this time.
I used to
Let's.
like Wendy more too.
Yeah, I could see if I was like
Same voice
13.
as Alice in Wonderland,
Of course. Yeah.
back-to-back movies.
You can tell.
And it's a very similar personality, but with Alice in Wonderland,
She's worse.
as you know, you're not really supposed to like Alice, and you'll
say
enjoy the
that.
movie more. But in this movie, if Wendy was an amazing Belle-type character,
Mhm.
it really changes it. But because she's
Asking
annoying
for it
and
in a way.
whiny, and Peter's just an asshole, it's a really bad leading cast for this adventure.
Totally agree. Let's get into chapter 2, eh?
Let's do it.
So they get to Neverland, and they kind of split ways. Peter just wants to hang out with Wendy, and the Lost Boys and the brothers go off. Peter and Wendy go to the Mermaid Lagoon, and jealousy's in the air and the water. The Lost Boys go off on a traipsing around, get captured by Indians. But on their way in, Tinkerbell tries to get them killed, so she gets banished by Peter Pan, and in the middle of the Mermaid Lagoon, they find out that Captain Hook has taken Tiger Lily. You know that he's taken her so that he can find out Peter Pan's location. He totally makes a fool out of him, plays with Smee's mind. And then you cut over to the scene that we're talking about at the beginning with the disclaimer, where it's all the Indians and what makes the red man red, and their big powwow for rescuing Tiger Lily from the dastardly Captain Hook. And then Tinkerbell is captured by Mr. Smee. I'll cut it there. This one we could definitely get lost in the sauce a little bit, but I can't not think about this. My question to you from this is just, in today's day and age, you're going to hate me for this, how would you use the ability to fly? / would you? Like, realistically, what would you be able to do if you could fly like Peter Pan? Because I don't know how fast he can go, but it seems like if you went over an ocean, it might take you 4 days.
Yeah.
Also, are you comfortable with everybody seeing you? Like, if the government found you flying, don't you think, my personal opinion would be you're in a lab the next morning and they're going to figure out how you do that.
Area 51, new address.
Exactly. Shout out to Area 51, not a sponsor, could be someday. What do you think you would do, or if you'd use it, where would you feel comfortable to use it? I'll let you take it away.
My first question to that, why would I hate this question? What kind of
Because it has nothing to do with, it's a great question.
Do you think I am?
That's a great point. I apologize.
Yeah, jeez. I would, like, tonight, I would probably just go out the back door and fly around the neighborhood.
You're a walker. You are a walker.
Oh yeah. It would be my new
You're like
walking.
95 in your heart. So
oh, yeah.
flying would be
that's
like,
the
I'm just gonna
exact
go for a fly.
way. Yeah, go for a fly. It would be the new walk. And I would do different routes. It'd be really, really funny if I just stayed right above, like 5 feet off the street. Like, dude, that's the most boring way to use
still
flying
looking like
ever.
you're walking too, like you're just making the motions.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Dave! Would you worry about people seeing you?
Yeah. It's a really good point. And I feel like now more than ever, everyone's got camera phones and
for sure. You'd be
camera
on
phones, smartphones.
World Star the next morning.
Yeah, it would be a problem.
But it would be a plus, right? Like, I can imagine, like, if you were in sports, like, you go to the Olympics for something like diving or something and be like, how did he do 9 flips on the way down? He falls so slowly. Or like hang time, you're like dunking from half court. Like, could you use it in a way that's like subtle enough where people are like, he's amazing, but not where like, can this dude fly?
Yeah, basketball I think would be the best one. Like, just hanging in the air a little bit longer.
Extra, just a second. It'd be tough to regulate that though. You'd have to take some serious discipline. Here's another follow-up.
Like, oh shit, I just dunked from half
Am
court
I still
again.
up here? Like, you fall to like an inch above, be like, oh shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was weird. Take all those cameras down. They're all being confiscated.
Plyometrics a bunch. Sorry, guys. Okay, so if you could do this, and here's the follow-up question. If you could fly, would you be willing to trade your right hand for a hook to be able to do it? You're Captain Hook, but you're allowed to fly. You can do it exactly like Peter does, or you get to keep your hands, but you're grounded.
Because no one can fly with you, which has always been my biggest thing. Like, if you could fly with your friends and family, it's a completely different experience. But if you're going by yourself, it's like
It was awesome, guys. Like, you wouldn't believe it.
Like, but no one gives a shit. And if everyone else is going by car somewhere, like, yeah, I'll just get in the car. I'd rather hang out with you guys. So I'm not trained in my right hand to do that.
That's fair.
Would you?
I just don't. No, I love.
Does a golden hook make it a little bit more attractive coming out of that red velvet
absolutely
case?
Does. It absolutely does. Captain Hook is not. I feel more differently about Captain Hook watching this time than I ever have watching it in my childhood. I feel like I sympathize with this guy, man. Like watching him brought to his knees by a bullshit kid like Peter Pan. Dude, I feel for the guy. I'm like, and like he sounds like a regular pirate. Other times, it's like he just can't let this one thing go and just keeps getting like Wile E. Coyote every single chance he can.
I was just about to bring that up.
And I was just like, dude. I mean, and honestly, and we'll get to this more, but like this man literally incurs at least I counted 8 concussions through this entire movie. And like, if this was our big shot at catching CTE before we did, and we just let it fly by, but. This man is just crumbling in front of our eyes, and it is actually really tough to watch. I'm just like, kind of feel for the guy. He's got great flow. I like that he's working with the hook. He's emotional about, the crocodile. I get, like, I'm with him on some of these things. He's got the dual cigar smoker, which is the coolest thing ever. Oh yeah, ever. I don't know, man. I didn't hate him as much. If you think about it, besides to Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, Captain Hook is really just a fixture. He's not a problem. And the one thing that doesn't fit with that is when the mermaids are like, Hook! And I'm like, dude, Captain Hook's not messing with anybody besides Peter. So what are you guys worried? It's not like he's like, let's go kill mermaids. He's a little ruthless at times, like his plots are... He did kill
the pirate as well, which was very Indiana Jones. He kind of just like looked up and just casually shot. Which another
Dale quote when watching this. We're just watching in silence, and all of a sudden he's just, so, did he just kill that guy? Yeah, I think he shot him.
It is a weird start to a very goofy character. It's like, they came out swinging with him.
Really, though. He's got a few, like, he just will hit the gas, too. He's like a new driver where it's like, where he's like, he says these 3 things that he wants to go do to Tiger Lily. Marooning or, like, some weird word that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
But he's willing to do some bad shit, you know what I mean? So it's not like he's a great guy, but there was a part of me that was like, dude, you're driven to madness by your over and over head trauma, and this guy being the guy that's your nemesis. Like, he's tough.
Yeah, he's bringing down for him. He's bringing down his entire empire, and all of the pirates. It was one of my favorite scenes, actually, that I didn't catch before, how all the pirates are like, basically, Smee, get us out of here. We're done being in Neverland hunting for this Peter. Like, we don't want this. And it's great just to see Captain Hook's like mental breakdown, and he really just wants the train to break down so he can take a walk around, and really can't do it.
Just unraveling in front of them.
He's lockjawed on Peter Pan.
I never realized that they wanted to leave that much. Like with Smee, and they want to get out of there. And that was
Smee was just supporting Captain Hook. All the other pirates, though, are like, I'm forgetting how to kill people. It was essentially a line. Like,
I'm getting rusty, man.
Yeah. Which, it's more, I guess it could be a sequel or a prequel, but having a TV series of Captain Hook and his crew sailing to different islands, get out of Neverland,
Dude, get out of
eventually
Neverland.
He gets over Peter Pan and just lands on different islands, and they interact with different folks, and maybe Captain Hook finds a love interest. And I would 100% watch that movie. Just focus on that crew of characters, and don't have the Lost Boys, Peter Pan, no one else involved.
So that's a good sequel. What we would like to sequel, let's call it what it is. If you could pick, I would actually be okay with multiple different ones from this world. The story of Peter Pan on how he got to Neverland. What the hell happened? Why is he there? Part of me thinks he's like an elf trapped in this realm. He's got the pointy ears. He's not like a boy. You know what I mean? I'm like, maybe he's got a bunch of him somewhere and he's lost, and who knows. The Lost Boys, how they got there. But Captain Hook and the crew out in the world, the Indian encampment, like, dude, what are they doing? Like, just think about, they could have a whole movie just about what they're doing. That island is raw. Like, some of the places that they are there, like,
I love that map.
oh my gosh, the map, Cannibal Cove, Hangman's Tree,
Crocodile Creek,
Mermaid Lagoon, Indian Encamp. Dude, this could be a video game where you're just a character in each one of these little sections of the island and doing cool shit, like you're a warrior for the Indians trying to catch Lost Boys, or you're a Lost Boy trying to do stuff for Peter Pan, or you're a pirate. Dude, they could shift. It would chef's kiss. It could be so great.
Yeah.
We would like to sequel everything but this movie, legitimately.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. It's really weird that you brought up the video game thing, because I wasn't planning on saying this, but there is a Peter Pan game out there that came out for PlayStation 2. It's crap. I watched some videos of it. It doesn't look fun to play. But it got me thinking, if they did like a GTA type game, or like open world in Neverland,
that Neverland Island,
I would be so in.
Oh my gosh.
Just make it a huge place and just explore. Yes, that's what I mean. Right now, they should do that, and they could easily do this for a bunch of different Disney movies, but I don't even need objectives. I just want to explore the island.
Just get out there and see how fun it is.
I want to see Crocodile Creek. We didn't get a chance to see it.
I know it. Oh, okay, I've got it. I found my note on my receipt. The 3 things that Captain Hook's willing to do to Tiger Lily: boiling in oil, keel hauling, questions, comments, concerns, or marooning. Those are his 3 options that he plays with. So I just wanted to tie that one up with a knot. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. There is a lot here that could be really capitalized on that just does not seem it is. Yeah. Dating with Disney question, unless you want to. It's time. They're all underage. It's not great, but there's a lot of different women, and Peter Pan is kind of involved with all of them.
I'm just going to step to the left and have this cannon hit you smack in the face. But...
this long Tom on Captain Hook's ship. If Tinkerbell was real size, or a mermaid, Tiger Lily, or Wendy of age, which one do you take out? Another Dale
take
quote?
Out as in go on a date with them.
No, kill. Who do you kill? No, I'm kidding. Who would you be most interested in?
It's picking poison.
See, for me, it's not. I'm Tiger Lily 100%.
No. Yeah, you didn't even let me finish. I was going to get to that answer, but yeah, it's all the other ones. There's like negative aspects that you wouldn't want to encounter.
Dude, when I was a kid, I used to have the hots for Tiger Lily just watching the movie, just because I think she's great. That moment where she's giving him the little, what do you call it, Indian kiss, maybe? I was like,
that could have been me, man. If only I could fly.
But Dale, I remember watching this halfway through the movie, just goes, Tinkerbell's a huge bitch. It's like, yeah, she is, man. She is. She's attractive, but man, life size would be so much easier for her lifestyle, because she's a jealous woman who wants to get involved and just ruin things, protect her man, and she's the size of a pencil, so it's really tough for her to even compete.
If it's Julia Roberts playing Tinkerbell like in Hook,
that's different.
That's different.
Shout out to Julia Roberts, huge fan of the show. Thank you so much for listening.
Real quick, multiple choice.
Oh.
Most annoying group in Disney history: dwarfs, Maleficent's goblins, Jungle Book monkeys,
Lost Boys, dude.
Mice and Cinderella, or the Lost
Boys. It's the Lost Boys.
Yeah,
man.
It's one
What's
of those
redeeming about them besides their outfits?
It's one of those multiple choice questions where it's like it doesn't even matter what the hell the other ones are. Like, I enjoy a lot of these other groups. It's just the Lost Boys. Bottom line, they are terrible and probably one of the worst aspects of this movie.
There's nothing good about them. There's nothing endearing or redeeming about them at all.
Yeah, let's also keep the count going on why Peter is such an asshole.
Yeah.
His big moment of rescuing Tiger Lily, wins a sword fight as he's flying around, and with that advantage, if Captain Hook ever killed him, it would be the biggest upset in Super Bowl history.
Flying, dude. There's not
exactly.
Even pick your battles, Captain
Exactly.
Hook.
And it was very fitting for Captain Hook at the end to be like, can you just be a man and stay on the goddamn ground? Like, I can't, this isn't working for me.
He's actually kind of a hero for trying that much with such odds stacked against him.
But this was like Peter's moment of
Yeah.
rescuing Tiger Lily.
Yeah.
So there's that. He brags and is hooting and hollering as they row away. And meanwhile, Wendy has to remind him that Tiger Lily is drowning. Okay? So how would that have gone with the Indians if Tiger Lily
gosh.
drowned and Peter Pan was just taunting
He
the other
goes-
team?
He
Again,
wouldn't tell
being a
him.
wide receiver.
Oh yeah, he's the guy who drops the ball before he crosses the end zone to
Yes.
celebrate.
Yeah,
100%.
that's a really good analogy. So, and then lastly, rescues Tiger Lily, and then blatantly leaves Wendy to fly on her own. And the music is playing. It's his theme music as they're flying away, and
he's just
Wendy
being a
is
dick,
literally
Scrambling
like
up the-
screaming, like, Peter, come help me. And it's like, this is Peter's moment of
Yeah.
saving the day.
That's your 1%
Are
right there.
such a piece of crap, dude. And I can't believe that this was the big triumphant moment for Peter to fall in love.
Absolutely. You know they had to have talked about that too. Be like, dude, do we all realize this guy's just a complete pure dick? Like,
Yeah.
are we really celebrating him right now? But I guess they are.
If they didn't play that theme, which I love, the theme song that plays throughout this,
It is
but if
good.
they didn't play that, it's like James Bond failing, and then they're like, dun, 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 dun. It's like such a
Well,
ridiculous.
like he's finding the girl
watch
dead
that.
in his hotel room or something.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Oh,
he
well, I guess
slept
I'll have
in
to
and
leave.
didn't actually catch the guy because he was with a woman.
That's
Great.
the kind of thing
Yeah.
they get to the Indian encampment and like he's like, yeah, you know, I beat Captain Hook. I ended up he's
You
probably
should
eaten
have
by an
seen it.
alligator.
It was. I was like, and
it
then
was
he
sick.
was like,
And I did this voice. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Mr. Smee. Like, and they're like, so yeah, what happened to Tiger Lily? He's like, yeah, she was tied to a canoe, very slowly dropping into the river. So
Yeah.
didn't work. And then Wendy would kind of be whispering about it, be like, actually, he let that happen. And then it would get around to the chief, and he'd just be like,
Yeah. It would be brutal.
okay, hit us with chapter 3.
Yeah. So Tinkerbell gets captured. Wendy sings a song about mothers, and then they have a bomb sent to Peter, and Tinkerbell saves the day barely, even though she let them know where the location was, so she could kill Wendy.
She's
And
a murderer.
yeah.
Like Ja
Or-
Rule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. R-U-L-E. And then they have this big fight, and of course Peter wins, and Captain Hook and the crew go off. They put pixie dust on the ship, turn the ship into gold. It sails off, going back to London, and the kids get off, and then they have a nice moment at the end that I'll talk about more later, when the family all watches the gold ship fly across the sky, and that's the movie. Now, I've really thought about this across all Disney movies, even ones we haven't got to yet.
Wow.
And the
Meta.
request for that Captain Hook says, hey, Smee, complete village idiot, go capture Tinkerbell on this entire island of Neverland is the most ridiculous request in Disney history.
Like,
And
needle in a
it's-
haystack doesn't even cut
It's like in 30 minutes finds Tinkerbell and captures him. Like, imagine the first, I don't know, like,
nightfall.
imagine the first like 20, 30 minutes of Smee walking into the jungle being like, so where do I start?
Yeah. Well, no, can you imagine just hearing it? Like, I've had bad bosses before. Shout out my last boss. And it's like just, you're listening to this, and you've watched him in the past 24 hours kill 3 separate pirates by either throwing them overboard, shooting them because they're singing, and he's saying, yeah, you got to go do this. And you're just like, are you serious? Like, and you're like, okay. And you're like, did I just say okay to go do that? Like, I can't do this. Like, why am I even saying
Yeah.
that? I should leave. I should leave Neverland. Dude,
Yeah.
it is impossible. How do you even? There's no way. There's no way you even could consider. I would just sit down for a long time, and be like, I hope she runs into me. That's
Yeah, exactly.
my only chance. Is that she
Just to open like a
accidentally
jar and just like hold it up and just like
walk around like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, I'll pay you.
Yeah,
The
it's,
deals, dude.
it makes no sense. It's one of those where you feel really
It's so
uncomfortable
good,
going
though.
back to ask your boss
Do you
and
know
like
where she
any
was
follow-up
at all?
questions. Yeah, exactly. You're like, God, I really should know this, but I do
Yeah.
have to ask.
I've looked everywhere.
Knock on
I
the
just
door.
question, like, where was she last seen? Do you know that?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what do you like? Are you thinking like a net or like
Yeah.
a
So if you were you and
telling
you
me
gave yourself that request, like where would you start?
how do you see me going, like combing the
Yeah,
island, or am
exactly.
I like waiting, laying a trap? Just
Yeah.
just want to spitball here, just back and forth, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no wrong
No, it's so
answers.
true. Just you brainstorm it, throw it up against the wall, see if it sticks. When the people are on the kids are on captured and on the boat.
Yeah.
You're faced with that question. Captain Hook rocks up. He says, "Sign my contract or walk the plank." What do you do?
I'm at least gonna sign the contract for now. Like
You
you
break the
can.
contract?
Well, what's the difference if you sign the contract or jump off the boat? Like you might as well live to see another hour and sign the contract and then jump off the boat. Like
Dude, I think I lean in. I
you
think
could
I'm like,
be,
you know what? I'm a pirate now. I think
yeah.
I didn't get to choose how this came to be, but now it's happening. So I'm a swashbuckler, and I would get into it. I think I would really lean in.
I for the Lost Boys, I don't know why you wouldn't. Why
What? Yeah,
do they
they're
have so much
perfect
pride in
pirates.
protecting the tree that they all
Yeah,
live in? Like, yeah,
Hangman's
just
tree.
sail around the world.
Dude, see some adventure. Like it is a little interesting. Like the band of the group of pirates there is all willing to like murder children one by one. So they're not like the best group of guys, but they also like there's theoretically, and like we said, what we'd like to sequel. There's a theoretical land out there that they're sailing and just being pirates and healthy and happy, like
Yeah.
Smee's talking about, dude.
Yeah.
Smee's drinking his ass off now. Like he is not doing well.
Yeah.
He's not fit for a different life, and you got to be banking on the fact that once Pan's dead, maybe we'll end up doing
Yeah. They're gonna just land in one of those Assassin's Creed Black Flag
Yeah.
islands, and they're just gonna make it.
Just
I'm just
waiting.
confident that they will.
Yeah, I love it, man. I
I
love
have
it.
a big question for you.
I've got a big one too. You go first.
Okay, so the concept everyone can agree of like never growing up and keeping that, little spirit in you or whatever. What is the moral of this story and explain why?
God dang it. Well, it's not like they show you that not growing up pays off well. It's almost like the moral of the story is you got to live your own life and be accepting of whoever wants to change their mind about it. You know what I mean? I think the big redeeming quality of Peter Pan is at the end, he accepts the idea that not everyone wants to live this life of flying around on Neverland. I'll take you home. The Lost Boys can choose what they want to do. So I guess it's like I'm really.
So he
I don't
didn't
know,
kidnap them, thus that's a moral of the story. Like he gave them a choice on what I hear it sounds good what you're saying,
if you
but in
kidnap
actuality, it doesn't make sense.
here's the moral. I think this is it because it's Peter Pan's whole life and it's Captain Hook's deal too. If you kidnap people, give them a choice. We're talking Indians capture the Lost Boys. Normally it's find Tiger Lily or I'm going to kill you. Or Captain Hook captures everybody, be a pirate or I'm going to kill you. Peter Pan probably capture the Lost Boys and then finally gives them a choice. You can go to London or I'll kill you. And I guess that's what they're trying to teach us because that's hammered in 3 times. But other than that, man, it doesn't make Peter Pan look like the man for choosing not to grow up and dragging everybody. He's an asshole in the end too. Like where you're like, let it go. They want to go back. Like shut up.
Is that what it's supposed to be though?
What's your
That's what I
answer
mean.
to
Did
this?
they like on purposely make him a terrible? Because it doesn't sound like it with Walt's depiction of him being upset that Peter Pan wasn't a more warm character.
So in theory,
So
you
they
could just say
actually
they want you to grow
tried.
up.
Yeah, what I'm saying is they actually tried to have Peter have some redeeming qualities, which shocks me more than intentionally showing this terrible side of not growing up. And be like, yeah, you kids should grow up.
I think that might be the moral because Wendy at the end's like, I'm ready, and you like Wendy more than anybody on the movie at this stage. You know what I mean? She's the only one that you're like, I don't hate her.
Yeah.
She like goes back and is like, I'm ready to leave the nursery, which is a weird decision, let's just say, to freak out and be upset about having to leave and get
your own room.
Yeah,
like, any kid would
you're
sign
sharing
up
with
for
your
that.
2 brothers. They're throwing shit around. They're sword fighting everywhere. Like, how is that a nice environment? You're like 13. You're prepubescent. Get your own damn room. When they say you're moving out of the nursery, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
whatever. But she comes back and she's like, I'm ready, and that maybe that's the good thing. That's a great question though.
I just think there has been some marketing or brainwashing that has occurred with this movie,
Dude.
of having good feelings and beliefs of like Peter Pan, don't let that spirit die or whatever. But in actuality, I don't see what the threads are to get to that point. I agree with that concept, but I don't know why that is successful coming from this movie.
If I talked to someone and I told them, you're like Peter Pan or I'm like Peter Pan, their thought process right then is not, oh, you're kind of a misogynistic dick who, only cares about himself and whatever. They're thinking, oh, you're still young at heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a positive
100%.
thing.
You summed it up. Why is that the case?
I don't know.
He's an asshole.
He is. It is. It's true.
But it would be a compliment to say, like, oh, yeah, you have like a young heart. You're
like Peter Pan. You're like, he's probably super sick, dude.
What is this?
I don't know. It's weird also that Tinkerbell, you want to talk about a personality makeover.
Yeah.
Tinkerbell has franchises from this movie. My sisters watched these all growing up. The animated Tinkerbell is like the sweetest little blah, blah, blah. In this movie, she is a hardcore jealous bitch the entire time.
Yeah.
And she is the
entire time.
She's the iconic member of this movie, as if she is like a hero.
Yeah.
How does she get that? This is honestly one of the most impressive marketing turnarounds in any Disney movie I've ever seen. And they're really just terrible humans, or elves or whatever.
Similar to the brainwashing that's happening in this very movie when Wendy is telling her mother how great this whole experience was, and Peter Pan was the most wonderful of them all. Yeah. Which it's just a hilarious line.
Dude, it's like Stockholm syndrome or something. It's like she literally.
It's real though,
this guy.
Because think of her other experiences on the island.
Yeah, it's true.
Like that's it. Peter Pan technically was the best, which says how miserable this entire journey was. Dude,
I just love that concept that Neverland's not like a friendly place. It's not like we didn't even go to Cannibal Cove. There's a group of people that eat people on Neverland. Let's get back there. What would you say if you had to pick one thing? What do you want in the sequel? I know we kind of touched on it, but just nail it down. What's the one? Is it Hook and his band of guys? Is it the Indians? Is it the Lost Boys? Is it Peter Pan backstory? Is it more shit on Neverland? What do you go with?
Okay, it's not a sequel, but the end that I would want for this movie that would tie it up, you just do the intro thing for a minute, you come back, and Peter decides to live at the Darling household and decides to grow up, and he found the family.
Oh.
I think that's how this movie would end in the modern world.
Yeah, that's
like,
so true.
He would actually make that progression, and you would be attached to the character because, like, his mom left him even though she didn't. It was just a misunderstanding. No, the sequel, I think Hook, and we haven't even talked about Hook, the movie.
Yeah.
But I think they did a great job with having Peter Pan grow up as Robin Williams. He's like in this job and he's completely tone deaf to his family around him and realizes that he needs to get that Peter Pan spirit back in.
That's so good. That's so
like,
true.
They left breadcrumbs for so many good sequels to come through, and I think Hook is one of them, and there's a live action that's coming out very soon.
I didn't know that. I know you're a big fan of, we've talked about this before, I know you're a huge fan of the ending. So let's wrap it up with you giving me your thoughts on the end of the movie. Yeah,
so anytime I'm just like frustrated leaving this movie, it always ends on such a good note. And it's, of course, the scene when Mr. Darling is looking out the window and the golden ship is flying by, and he says, I have the strangest feeling that I've seen this ship before, a long time ago when I was very young. And they all kind of hold each other, and the song is playing, and it obviously implies that Mr. Darling like went to Neverland and had these experiences as well, and it's just an aspect of growing up as a kid. Seriously, it took 20 seconds to make this movie have so much more depth, and I just wish that there were more sprinkles like that, where it's more of a ... wow, what a bigger world and bigger picture, and it really expands your thought than this one very small story within one night.
There's other funny stuff in this movie that, like, just one-off little lines. Like, I remember when they're doing the Lost Boy mother thing, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sure my mom would be fine with all the Lost Boys coming here." I was like,
Yes.
"You think?"
Yeah, I have
really?
that too.
And then like the boy, I forget, he's like, "Did our mom have silky ears and wear a fur coat?" And I'm like, so you forgot your mom in like 2 days and think it's the dog. Yeah. Dude, that kind of stuff, I'm just like, this is a weird movie.
Yeah.
But it is true.
Yeah.
It wraps up in a way where you're like, oh, this could be a sequel as well. Like Darling in Neverland, man, I'd like to see that shit.
I would love to see Mr. Darling.
What do you think it means with the cloud? Because you said golden ship, and it is technically a golden ship, which I imagine Tinkerbell, after that amount of fairy dust, probably was like unconscious or throwing up or something. Like, there's no way that changes her
puking
range.
off the side.
Oh, dude, I just made a whole boat gold. Oh, like, no shot. She's just doing that. But it's gold there. It's clouds when they see it from the thing. But then the last frame of the movie, I'm pretty sure, is the clouds have split and they're just clouds.
Yes.
And I was like, was this all the olive oil tonic that they took at the beginning?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's a whole different discussion, that because they were taking some stuff, and maybe in 1953 that was more normal. But I similar to like, what would you do if you could fly? Like, if I could turn into a cloud anytime someone looks at me, like that's the first thing I'm signing up for.
Oh, for sure. I would go hook hand for that.
Peter knows that Scotland Yard would be after him in half a second.
It's not his ship. He doesn't know how to work that thing. You're saying Tinkerbell can turn people? I mean, dude, let's be honest.
I think it wasn't actually a golden ship, and it was clouds the whole time.
Yeah, clouds.
Or they're on drugs. I don't know.
I do want to say this movie is probably part of the foundation of the disassociation I have with reality with clouds. I remember thinking that, it's that concept that clouds are like things you could stand on, and like this movie was when they're standing at the beginning and the cannonballs are going through them. That is what I always thought clouds were, to the degree where I was on airplanes as a child being like,
dude, if we run into one of those, I don't know what's going to happen.
You know what I mean? Like, this could blow the plane up.
It's over.
That was unfair, I think. All in all, what do you say? Is it a fine movie? Could take it or leave it. No,
yeah, exactly.
It's good shit. Favorites? Let's get into that. What do you think?
Well, rapid fire.
Okay.
You Can Fly, the theme song for me.
Mine's What Makes the Red Man Red, dude. I know it's racist, and I have some Native
catchy.
American in me, so I still can't say it. But I've been to like powwows and stuff like that where I know. I mean, I gotta admit, it would be very interesting if there was a group of people in the world that were like the way the Indians were depicted. Can you imagine, like, if that was a reality and that was just how this group of people were? Someone that's not Native Americans, but like somebody. That is the most fun group of people I've ever seen in my life, dude. That is nuts. That party, it's awesome. It's not at all what a real powwow's like. But I mean, dude, they're blowing like triangles and stuff with their pipes. Like, they're just down to party, man. It's really good. Favorite character?
Mr. Darling.
Mine's the crocodile or tiger lily, but probably the crocodile because I'm 28. So, yeah, the crocodile is great. We didn't really get to talk about him, but that's probably the best. I think that's the best character in the entire movie. It's really funny. What would you say favorite scene would be?
The very last scene. The last like 20 seconds.
Yeah, I got to go with the shave, I think. I mean, What Makes a Red Man Red is really up there, but since I picked it for my song, when the croc comes first and it's just like super stoked and like always, like, I just think that's a hilarious dynamic that you could even do another whole thing about his perspective, and I would love it. Okay, quote. This is the one that's deep for me. Like, get into what do you reckon your favorite quote was?
I already said the quote, but the Mr. Darling line at the end.
Yeah, of course.
Strangest feeling.
I've got there's a few usable quotes in this one too. I thought, like, and so passeth a worthy opponent from Captain Hook when he kills it. Or I think you could use this in like your office if someone, hey, who is it? Like, in the back, Captain? I think that was pretty good from Peter. And then you could walk into a bar sometime and pull a Mr. Smee. This is no place for a respectable pirate.
Yes.
But I think my favorite one, I mean, I was more shocked and surprised by jealous females can be tricked into anything. My case of hooks. I thought that was a good one. But my favorite overall. The way of a man with a maid, taking the best years of her life and then casting her aside like an old glove I thought that was Captain Hook, dude, is the man, I think.
Yeah. Also, second star to the right should be a bar name, and we should trademark
You
it.
know what also should be? I was thinking about this. Remember in the beginning where she's suing shadows?
Yeah.
Sewing shadows. I think that could be like a band name or like
Ooh.
a phrase. Like, dude, I'm just sewing
Sewing
shadows over
shadows.
here.
God, yeah, that's
How
good.
good would that be? I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know how would you use it?
A band.
A band? See,
Yeah.
I think it could be an expression. Like, dude, I've been
Well, it
working
could
all
be
day. I
both.
feel like I'm just sewing shadows.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what it means yet, but
Yeah.
I'll come up with something.
Yeah.
But I think that would
You're
be
just
a
rudderless.
band would
I'm
be
just
cool,
sewing
though.
shadows at my job.
Dude,
I'm
literally
not
just sewing
engaged, you
shadows.
know.
Or I'm pulling off the impossible. Dude, I felt like I was sewing shadows last night. I cannot believe I made
Yeah,
it home.
exactly. I was playing this video game, dog. Like I was sewing
Final boss,
shadows,
so tough,
like,
dude. I was
headshots
sewing.
left and right.
I like that, honestly. Would you say it's worth
That's
a
good.
rewatch if you watched this movie growing up?
I say watch it, and almost everyone will most likely be disappointed with how they remember Peter Pan. I kind of want people to know
The truth.
what Peter Pan actually
You
is,
can't
and not
handle the
the
truth.
marketing. Yeah, it actually is like that.
You know, I actually will agree and disagree with you. I think this is the most fun movie I've ever had for a change of perspective on. Like, sometimes we watch movies and it's like, it kind of ruined it. This one is so interesting, and the outlying factors of it are so much more interesting than the movie, that I'm willing to get rid of the idolization of Peter Pan as a child for the way I look at it now.
Yeah.
I actually think it's better now, legitimately.
Yeah, I also think if Walt Disney, if I could ever have him redo a movie, like
will be
a
able to.
second shot, I think Peter Pan could be like one of the best Disney movies.
Oh,
That's
it
what
could be.
frustrates me. I feel like it
had
wouldn't
so
even
much
take that much
potential.
more, and I think Walt would have signed up in a heartbeat to
Yeah.
kind of fix some of these things.
Yeah, a lot of potential. Would you say it's worth a watch if you've never seen it?
Yeah, I would. I honestly, I don't know. I'm not even like the biggest Hook fan or know many references other than Rufio. That story though, to me, hits me a lot better than this one. I would almost say like watch Peter Pan, but then watch Hook.
Just for
after.
context.
Yeah, just get more Neverland in you than just this movie.
That's a great phrase. Just get some more Neverland in you, man.
Yeah,
Would
you'll
you
be
show
fine.
this? Would you show this to children? Would you show this to children? Either
Yeah.
yours,
Yeah,
if you have
kids
them,
will love
or-
it. Kids will love it. Make sure they read the first 12 seconds of the text.
Yeah,
but
for real.
They'll love the movie.
That's such a good point. Okay, let's shift into our playground pick'em. Jay, why don't you introduce what we're going to do?
Yeah, wedding party. We are forcing the other one to pick someone that they have to take.
Okay.
So I'm picking for Harrison. Can I go first?
And I'm picking for Jay. Yeah, you go for it.
I mean,
damn it.
I'm gonna say.
I don't even know what the
like
101 is.
the tubby lost boy.
Oh my gosh.
I think he's wearing that same jacket.
Yeah, actually,
yeah,
dude, we
it's that
could look like a
kid.
theme. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And you
What
can
do
take
you mean?
Yeah, exactly. You could take any of
I don't want
the.
to go to the dance floor.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my god.
That's who you're taking. Yeah.
If he opens his mouth the entire time, at once the entire time,
Yeah. It's
that
like
is a
who brought
nightmare.
him?
Dude,
Whose
who
kid is
brought
that?
this child in a bear? Oh, it's probably the larger child in a bear thing. That dude's like Peter Pan, is what they say
Yeah.
about me. Oh, he's bad. Do you think he's the worst Lost Boy? Like,
I
what
think
about those
so.
two
They're-
guys
they're
that say the same
all-
thing? That say the same thing.
You could pick them out of a bucket. I mean,
Oh, why me?
you could have the skunk kid.
Oh.
Any of them are
There's
terrible.
kind of a
He's gonna
lost-
smell awful as well.
All of them
I have a
will,
lot
dude.
of skunks around here, so I'm very aware. Like when I saw that this watch, like that kid smells god awful. Like
He's living
he would be
inside one.
awful at a wedding.
Any of them would be the worst. I mean, like they literally would ruin the wedding. I don't care
Yeah.
whose it is. They would like ruin it to the degree where someone would go to jail.
It's the number one pick. It's
There would
clear.
be actual crime that was occurring at this wedding.
Who you got for me?
You know, I gotta give you the boy, dude. Your boy, Peter Pan.
Peter?
Yeah. Talk to me. How do you feel that would go, dude? If he's
I
not
kind of
the
think
one
I can
getting
make
married,
it work. I just hate
how?
him.
How? People can sense that you hate him. Dude, there's no way you don't have a couple drinks and someone comes over and be like, so that kid you brought, you're like, I fucking hate that guy, dude. I know. I had to because I did a stupid podcast.
Yeah. He would be
You
really
talk
bad.
shit. He'd be bad.
He would talk shit. He would have just a weird energy that people shouldn't have at a wedding.
I feel like he would pick the bride up off of the altar and like fly away with her as like a gag.
Yeah,
like,
as like a joke.
Kiss her. Like, give me a kiss. Like,
that
oh
actually
my gosh.
would. To the groom, like, I'm so sorry. I actually didn't even bring him. He was just so in shadows.
And
I don't know.
There's some things that he's never seen before, and all of them are at this wedding, and like, customs or manners or, the concept of being quiet at a specific time.
The girl would be doing the vows and he would say, girls talk too much.
Oh, she's ugly. Oh, she's talking too much. Tell us a story about me.
She has bigger hips than Tinkerbell.
And Tinkerbell's just...
Yeah,
exactly. That's so
bright
true.
red.
How dare you say that? Yeah, she's burning through tablecloths. Yeah, Okay, but between the two of them, who's worse, would you say? Who won that?
I think the Lost Boy.
I feel like you could scare the shit out of Lost Boy. The thing about the Lost Boy, and here's why it's not
you could just
the worst.
lock him in the car.
No, wow, there's the police call that I was talking about for sure. You could just literally murder him. That's how you do it. I know what to do. You just end his life.
Yeah, I think there's a dead bear here. Did anyone see this?
Oh my God, it's a boy! No, I'm thinking the difference between the Lost Boy and Peter Pan is the Lost Boy makes his career off of being told what to do. So you gain his respect or his
literally
fear,
following the leader.
He just follows orders. Peter Pan almost will do the opposite of what you ask him to do because you've asked him to do it. I'm like Peter Pan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Peter Pan might be.
I wouldn't take you to a wedding either. So
who would you
let's
take?
do it.
Between Mr. Darling, Wendy, or the mom, or Captain Hook? I'm taking Captain Hook.
I was gonna say I would take Captain Hook.
Dude, Captain Hook would. Can you imagine him dancing? Like no Peter around. He's killed Peter. Let's say he would be a great, fun-loving guy.
Yeah,
cutting up.
exactly.
Dude,
the demise of Peter Pan in Captain Hook's life.
Would you not love to see an anti-hero story where he actually kills Peter Pan, like like rated R, let's say, an adult version of this where he like murders Pan and then has a great life? I guess that's not really exciting, but still,
no,
like,
it would be.
It'd be a fun comic strip.
It'd kind of be like in No Country for Old Men when like the big murder happens like halfway through, and then the rest of it you're just kind of coasting with the main character. Like I want
not see that
just coasting with Captain Hook and his ship.
Dude, it'd be fun. I think it would be. I think Hook would be great, but you would actually score points with whoever the wedding was with if you brought either of the Darling parents, because I think they are.
And he'd wear the exact same thing with the hat.
Oh, for sure. He'd be dressing up with it. He'd wear his like nice.
He'd be making Hook jokes too.
Oh,
he really like owns not having a hand.
Yeah, dude, they're like giving their vows. It sounds like he's hooked, Smee, and like pulls his shit up. I think he'd be killing it, dude. Put a ring on this, you know what I'm saying?
No, you're married though. You're married. Well, I was just trying to have a good time.
I was trying to have a good time, man. Yeah. All right, toast this movie. Let's kick her off.
Yeah, with my Ewok mug. I'm gonna say.
I guess it's still Disney. That's okay.
It's funny that we talked about this because I had this written down before. To the movie that hooked the masses for Peter, but ultimately left a lot on the table and inspired better stories to come along and pick up the missing pieces. So thanks for getting the ball started.
Absolutely. I have two, and I don't know which one to pick. I'm going to say this one. To the movie that made never growing up and flying seem like a dream come true, even though it probably isn't. Cheers to you, Peter Pan.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And that brings us to the close of Peter Pan. This has been the Disney Podclassics. We have had such a good time talking about it. I hope you've had a good time listening. Jay, what's our next one?
Lady in the Tea.
Lady in the Tea, baby. Get some spaghetti. We're going to try and do some visual effects where me and Jay are both eating it and, whatever.
I see Lady in the back right there.
Yeah. I love that you just called that out. Yeah, she's in there. They're all back there, dude. And they're all going to be up here for you guys soon. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time. Hate colors. When I pet a dog, here's a little insider trip. That
Perfect.
for you. I will pet underneath the collar because I'm like, dude, no one pays
Oh, yeah.
attention down there. You get in there,
Yeah.
you feel like the dog's like, dude, you're literally the greatest thing I've ever seen. in my life.
For sure. Yeah, you gotta get the and just hit
What
all the
the
spots with
Fuck. What? What would you
Dude,
tell you
dude,
to
that's what
word
it's
it?
called when you take the call.